Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Kim and today I'm going to kick off my video with what am I wearing. So today I am wearing the pattern Simplicity 9231. So I showed you this pattern on my last video. It's a pattern I bought just randomly and I don't know why I bought it, but in reflection I think I bought it because it was really a very simple, easy pattern. It only had about 5 or 6 pieces to it, so I thought it would be really quite nice to make something quick, because I do make things up that are quite involved and have a lot of pattern pieces, so I thought it would be quite nice to make something that I could literally make in a couple of hours. So I made this one Saturday afternoon and I was really pleased I did. Now originally when I was going to make it, I was going to use this fabric here. Do you remember this fabric that I bought? I bought from Stitch Fabrics, along with the cotton fabric that I was going to make myself and my husband a shirt out for Christmas. But I stopped myself from making it out of the Orange Mosaic fabric, because I generally, when I try to make something the first time, I will use something that, if it doesn't work out, I haven't lost, you know, some precious fabric that I really like. So I found this fabric in my stash. So I've got my project sheet here. So I found this fabric in my stash. Now this came from Pound Fabrics, and I bought 3 meters of it, and it was £6 for 3 meters. And the reason why it was so cheap is because it had a fault in it. But I just bought it because I just got carried away with thinking I'm going to get a bargain. But it was great fabric to use for this project, because if I didn't like it, it wasn't an issue. So, but it has worked out quite nice, and I will definitely wear it again. There are a few things that I would change, and I'll go through those now. So I like this pattern because it has the pleats in the front, and they literally hug the neck, so they come up slightly on the neck and they hug the neck, and it's really nice. So they sort of have this sort of curve here and they come down onto the shoulder. Now I have quite narrow shoulders in comparison to the rest of me, so I did find that the shoulder length for me was just slightly too long. So I think when I make it next time, I will probably go down a size on the shoulder, because what happens is when I have something that's got it is too big on the shoulder, I get all this sort of fabric sort of here, and it doesn't feel right. But it doesn't look too bad on this because it just hangs quite nicely. So the shirt itself just hangs from those pleats. It goes all the way down, and it just comes down to sort of hip length. So, and it is a really pretty pattern. The sleeves are straightforward, they come down and they're elasticated at the bottom, and as you can see they are a little bit short for me, and I do find myself keep pulling them down. So next time what I will do is I will make the sleeves a little bit longer. Also on this pattern I found that the bicep was it's quite tight, because here you can see there's absolutely no ease at all. It is at skin tight, and I do find that after a while what happens is the sleeve will slowly move up. I'll get a gathering a crease of fabric here, and then it pushes the sleeve up a bit more. So and I'm finding what I'm doing is I'm constantly pulling my sleeve down to readjust. So I quite like the shirt, but next time I would make an adjustment on the collar, the shoulder, the length of the sleeve, and just make the bicep a bit bigger. The length is great, It's really good. So I will attempt to make this shirt again in my lovely orange and purple mosaic fabric. So watch this space. We'll crack on with that. So the other thing I was working on in my last video was this princess themed shirt, which was the B5526. Now this is one of my go-to shirts. I do make this a lot. It is such a nice shirt, and I finished it off. So I finished it off with the princess seams down across the bust line, and I bought some buttons, different coloured buttons to match the different coloured fish at the end of the fisher's rod, and I thought it just added an element of fun. I don't know whether I would do that on my husband's shirt, but for me, I quite like those quirky little things, so I quite like that. And I will come and I'll show you the buttons in a moment. So that was my second make. That shirt I have probably made over a dozen times, and I've got the fit perfect for me. So as you know, I trace out my patterns, I tweak it until I get it right, and now my trace pattern is perfect. So when I make that shirt up, I know it's always going to fit. And sometimes when I lose my sewing sojo, I will get back into it by making something like that, because I know that once I've made it, it will actually fit. So I'm pleased that I've got that finished, and I need to now make my husband his shirt. And the reason why I think I made this shirt in between is because I didn't want to then go into making another shirt in exactly the same fabric again. It was just too much. I thought I need a bit of a break from this fabric, so I made this shirt up, well, blouse really. So I made this blouse up, so it was quite nice to have a little break in between, and that means I'm now ready mentally to start working on my husband's shirt, so I will crack on with that next week. So they're my two finished garments. So my sewing plans obviously are to finish off, well, start and finish off my husband's shirt. So I have that all planned, and I also want to finish my crown cushion. The reason why I've been a bit slow finishing that is because I haven't really felt comfortable with how I'm going to finish it off, and because originally I was looking for some trim, and I couldn't find some trim, and then I said I was going to make my own piping for it, and I just thought it doesn't feel right. I don't want to make my own piping. It's such a nice it is such a nice cushion. It just needs to have a really nice trim on it. And I found, and it did take me a while to find this, because anyone that stocked it seemed to be out of stock, but I found this. Now this is called barley twist, so it's like a rope effect twisted, and it has this little fabric extension which you use to sort of stitch in between the cushion and the backing, and then this little area then just protrudes, and it finishes off the cushion really nicely. And I managed to find this lovely navy, the exact colour that I wanted, and I bought 2 meters, and I got this off of Minerva, so I was really pleased with that. So it just inspired me again to finish off my cushion. And a few weeks ago I also showed you this interfacing that I wasn't too happy with, because it just sort of tears apart, and I would not use this in a garment, but I thought the best place for me to use this is probably on the back of my crown cushion, because what I like to do is when I do anything like a tapestry, I like to put a backing on the back of the tapestry, because what that does is it will secure the stitches, so it just makes it more hard wearing going forward. Because you know, a cushion sits on a sofa for years, people sit on it, it has movement, it gets pulled about, it gets thrown on the floor, and for me, I just use a backing to limit the chance of any of that stitching coming loose. So on the back of my tapestry, I thought what I would do is I would actually use this interfacing, and I would just stick it to the back, and what that would do is it would secure all of those stitches and just give it just an extra layer of resilience in effect. So I will do that. So now I've got everything I need. I'm glad I found the barley twist, because I think it will work really well with this cushion. So I'm hoping to get that finished before Christmas, and finally get this cushion out of my whip box once and for all. It's been hanging around way too long. So that is that. So carrying on with my purchases, I found a company called My Fabrics, and I had requested from them a swatch. So I got this swatch of sweatshirt fabric, and it is actually beautiful. Just take the sticky label off the back. It is actually beautiful. It's got a nice feel to it. It's got a nice thickness. Now this is 260 grams square meter, so that's the weight of it. So I was pleasantly surprised that that was 260. So you can see the thickness of it just there. Okay, and it's got a wonderful feel to it. It's got a really soft sort of plush back. So when I got this through, I started to experiment with the eyelets. Now, I bought a die set to press the eyelets in, but I didn't have anything to cut the actual hole, so I bought a die set to cut the hole. So this is the sort of die set, and it just literally, I use my green machine and it will cut the hole. So it cuts a nice circular hole in readiness for the eyelet to be then pressed into place. So I did my first eyelet test, and I just tested this directly onto the fabric, and yeah, it didn't work, because as you can see, I mean, this thing, I can literally pull it. I mean, as I pull it away from fabric, it comes out. So it won't hold just on the fabric alone. So I also bought from My Fabrics some interfacing. So I bought a little swatch of this interfacing, and I wasn't too sure whether I liked it or not, but the more I play with it, and I've used a tiny little bit of it, I quite like it actually. The adhesive is spread nice and thinly over the back of it. It does have a nice feel, and I would generally use this sort of interfacing in a shirt collar. So this thing here, so this little bit here, you know, this collar stand. So I would use it in the collar stand, because I like my interfacing on my collar stand to be a little bit firmer, because I want that collar stand to do what it's supposed to do and just hold up and keep firm. So once the actual collar comes off of it, it can just flop over. And I will use a finer interfacing for the actual collar, but the collar stand I always use something thicker, and I think this would be ideal for it. But when I had this, I cut a little snippet off and I used it on the back of the sweatshirt fabric, and I put my eyelet pieces in, and then I press them, and I mean, it is solid, so that is not going to come out. So I'm really pleased that that worked. Now I also, I'll show you this. So this is the eyelet, and the cord will come through the hoodie hood, and that works quite well. So this is a 12mm hole, and I bought 12mm eyelets. Personally, I think now I know the sizing, I would probably have bought a 10mm, but it's just me being fussy. But this works okay. I mean, I have to be okay with it, because I bought two die sets. I bought the die set to cut the hole, and I bought a die set to actually press the eyelets in place. And I bought all these little eyelets, so I mean, I'm well and truly stocked up, so I shall have plenty of those for years to come. So I won't have to purchase anything like that again. So they will do, and I think they will work really well. To be honest, once you've got your hoodie flopped out and everything, I don't think you actually see the eyelets. So yeah. So I went to all that trouble to get a swatch and the eyelets and buy all of the, you know, the die sets, and then my son turned around and said that he didn't want a hoodie anymore, so he wanted something else for Christmas. So I thought, okay kids, what can you do? So I thought I would make myself a sweatshirt. I mean, I was intending to make one, and that's why I bought the orange sweatshirt fabric, because I quite like orange and I thought that was so vibrant. And I bought the pattern, as you know, and I really thought that even though this, I mean, I think it's I think sweatshirt's unisex. I don't think it matters that it's a man's pattern, or you see men in the pattern, but I quite like this pattern, this sort of sweatshirt here. I'm not keen on the hoodie bit, because as I said last time, I'm always fighting with it with my handbag and getting it out of my jacket, and I quite like just the idea of having like a funnel neck look, and you still have your cords and everything. So I thought that would be quite nice. So I think I will purchase some of the sweatshirt fabric. The only issue I found with my fabrics is they do take about 2 weeks to deliver. So which I don't have a problem with, because I just will plan it. So I will purchase the fabric, and I will probably make it after Christmas. So that's a project for after Christmas. So I'll have that in the background going on, and then I'll purchase what I need from them, so that I can finish, or start and finish, a hoodie. And I'm quite excited about that orange. It's very bright. Also from my fabrics, I found this. So this is cotton interfacing. This is what I've been looking for my shirts, because I mentioned before that the supplier who I had been using for a very long time had just retired, and I was looking for a new supplier of interfacing, and I found this interfacing also from my fabrics, and it is lovely. It's exactly the same as what I'm used to. It just looks like fine cotton. It's great for collars and the collar bands in the fronts of your shirts, and because it's woven, it's a really thin layer of adhesive on the back. You can just about feel it, but it's nice and evenly spread. And this stuff is, even though it's thin, it's fine, it is solid, and that's what I like. So it just feels like another layer of cotton within your shirt. And I purchased a metre of this, and I will probably, when I buy my sweatshirt fabric, I will probably go and buy a metre of the black as well, because I do like to have both those colours in my my stash. So I'm glad that I found a supplier. Now I found out that this is called G710, and if you actually put that into your browser, you can find this stuff everywhere. So you don't have to buy it from My Fabrics. You will be able to find this everywhere, but I wasn't aware of the code number originally, but it is exactly the same as what I used to purchase from my old supplier. So I'm really pleased. So I know that if I can't get it off of My Fabrics, especially with the 2-week delivery period, I know I could probably find it a little bit closer to home and get it a bit quicker as well. So, but I have that now, and I will probably go back and buy the black from their site, only because I'm also purchasing other stuff, so that will come through, and I've got enough to keep me going for a while. I also purchased these little buttons. So these are the Smarty buttons that I put on my blouse. I always buy quite a few navy because I get through quite a few navy, and I just bought four of each colour. They have lots and lots of colours. You can, you know, I think they're about 16p each, so I just bought a little selection of them. Colours are endless, so I just bought a little selection of them because they always come in useful, and I bought them from a company called Totally Buttons, and they sell lots of lovely buttons on their site. I did also buy some really sparkly, and I do like sparkly things. I bought some nice sparkly orange ones, and I bought these because I thought originally I would make a shirt in the Orange Mosaic Twist fabric that I showed you. But I'm trying to maybe steer away a bit more from always reverting back to patterns that I've made before and start experimenting with different patterns. I do seem to get comfort in using the same patterns again and again, and I need to get out of that comfort zone. So though I won't be using these for my Orange Mosaic blouse, these will go into my stash, and I will find something else to use those on. Also, I purchased a knitting pattern. Now, originally in the evenings, I have my Queen of Diamonds quilting project. But as you know, I'm not due to get any of the new fabric through until the beginning of December. So I've been keeping myself occupied by knitting socks. And originally I just finished off two or three pairs of socks that were half finished. So I've managed to finish off those. So I was quite pleased with that. And I've just started a new pair of socks from Fresh. And I quite like to do a bit of knitting in the evenings as well as hand sewing. And because the weather has turned so cold, generally when I wear my shirts, I will usually wear, especially if we're going out for coffee, I will usually either wear a scarf or I will wear a tank top or a vest, whatever you like to call it. And I found this very, very simple tank top on Rivalry, and it's all stocking stitch, and I just thought that was really simple. That would knit up in no time. So I purchased it. I don't know when I'm going to start it, but you know, I go off on these tangents on these websites, and if something catches my eye, I will purchase. I think this was £3.50. This was, you know, not going to break the bank, so I thought that'd be quite nice to put in my stash. And it's just a classic sort of tank top. You can make this in plain colours, you know, tweedy sort of colours, and it's on size 4mm needles, and I do like to use the smaller needle, so I will generally stick around 4mm, and I will sit there quite happily in the evening knitting something like this up. So you never know, I might get that started before Christmas. just have to go and look for some yarn, and I know if I start looking at yarn I'll also get carried away, so I'm trying to be good. Not one of my fortes, unfortunately. So my sewing plans going forward are finish my husband's shirt, definitely get that finished, because though I think I've got plenty of time, it's only now just over 4 weeks until Christmas, so I need to get that finished because I don't want to go into panic mode trying to get that sorted. So I've got everything I need to get that going, and I'm quite excited about making that, because originally I made my shirt and I had a bit of a break and made this in between that shirt, and now I'm ready to make his shirt, so I will crack on with that. And I think that is it at the moment. I do have lots of ideas in my head, but I try to rein them in because I just get carried away. But I think that is enough at the moment, and hopefully I will spend a bit of time doing my crown cushion as well and getting that off its board, checking how it's stretched, whether it's stretched adequately enough for me to put a backing on it and start putting the piping on it, the barley twist, and finishing that off. So I feel quite excited about that now, because I feel comfortable knowing I've got everything I need to finish that. So I think that is it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Obviously, if you enjoyed watching my video, give me a thumbs up, and it would be really nice if you could also subscribe. But I will see you all next time. Take care. Have a great evening. Bye.